Ice caps are melting, forests are burning, and the planet is dying. Think of the smell around the business district in Council Bluffs. That toxic carbon dioxide smell radiates up through the atmosphere and eats away at the ozone. Other forms of power, like solar panels and wind turbines, are often used to replace carbon-based power. But what if I told you the real solution to the climate crisis was nuclear power, and it's been under our nose and suppressed for decades? Today I'll be going over why, or how to prevent catastrophes of the past, the space efficiency of nuclear power, and um, the how to dispose of and how safe nuclear waste is. Opposition to nuclear power will often cite Chernobyl and Fukushima to discredit all of nuclear power. But I would argue that two mishaps are not enough to discredit the entirety of nuclear power from being used to replace dirty power. Chernobyl was a big catastrophe, but it was preventable. You see, Chernobyl utilized a certain type of reactor rod that was tipped in graphite. And graphite, when used in a nuclear reactor, actually speeds up reactions and causes meltdowns. So when an emergency stop button was pushed, these graphite rods were shoved into the reactor and caused the meltdown that is very infamous today. Fukushima, on the other hand, only happened because of a natural disaster. Japan is, quite frankly, a terrible place to live. Not because of the people, the cities, but because of where it lies on a fault line. Catastrophes like volcanoes, earthquakes, and tsunamis are very common among the country. And Fukushima being on the coast, it got hit by a tsunami and it caused the reactor to go into a meltdown. If funding had been properly allocated, Fukushima and Chernobyl would not have happened. If the Soviet government would have invested in higher quality rods, Chernobyl would not have happened. And if Japan had put in the proper safe measures, Fukushima would not have happened. Speeding up the reactions brings us to the space efficiency of nuclear power. Nuclear power can fit all into 1 square mile, which is a lot more space efficient than other forms of clean power. It is estimated by energy.gov that nuclear power takes up 360 times less space than wind turbines and 75 less space than solar panels. In my personal opinion, tearing down acres and acres of land just to replace it with a less superior form of power is not the right idea. Next, we have the nuclear power produces roughly it's like 5 million megawatts per year, while wind turbines only produce around 6 million gigawatts. And 1 megawatt is 1,000 gigawatts, which is why it takes so much more wind turbines to actually produce the same amount of power. Nuclear reactors are much safer than people think because the waste is not that much. Like, there's not a lot of waste, actually. 90% of the waste produced by nuclear power are things like tools, contaminated clothing, and 7% is like filters, sheets of metal that are used in the reactor, and then 3% is actually the radioactive fuel that is used. And to dispose of this power, they bring all of the waste to a cooling pool for 5 years, to cool it down and let the radioactive isotopes decay. After this, they take the low and intermediate levels of contaminated objects to a ground storage facility where it is stored above ground. The high level radioactive waste is brought to subterranean disposal plants and is buried until the waste is like fully decayed, and then they just leave it there because it's so far down it has like no effects on the environment. Cooling down from the reactor brings us to the preventable. Wait, no, I was on the wrong slide. My bad. I'm done with that though. So cooling down from the reactor brings us to the preventable catastrophes of the past, the space efficiency of nuclear power, and how to dispose of and how nuclear waste is safe for the environment. I hope I've eased some of your fears about nuclear power, and I hope that you will be backing the atomic option in the future. Thank you.